we have a great honor to interview the Beast in Black mastermind, Mr. Anton Kabanen. Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Hello.
Last week's they must have been pretty hectic for you and the band, and everything is focusing on your sophomore album, From Hell with Love, which will be released on February 8th. What are your thoughts at the moment regarding the release?
Well, I'm actually focusing on a lot of preparations, thinking like, do we have everything needed for the upcoming rehearsals and for the upcoming tour? So lots of preparing going on. I'm not actually thinking that much about the album itself, but just like how to make all these wheels rolling then when the tour finally starts. So basically just working and you know, when it comes to the musical side of albums, to me always the fresh album for the people is, to me, it's actually already old album. You know, I'm not even thinking about it that much. I'm always thinking what's it gonna be for the third album, what kind of songs and themes we're gonna have for that song. And I've been actually thinking more of the third album lately for the last few weeks, about the third album's themes and choosing songs, what kind of songs to show to the other band members and stuff like that. So it's maybe kind of funny, but yeah.
We are getting the new album, and you are already thinking about the next one. So
yeah, always trying to be like a step ahead.
Well, that's a good thing. The sophomore albums are usually very difficult for bands because expectations run high after the first album, and also bands are usually defined through their second album, if they are here to stay or were they just a lightning struck once type of band. Did you feel any extra pressure while composing material for this album?
I think the pressure is always the same when it comes to album making. I'm trying to pour like 100% from the whole band and from every member into every album. So we all think that, you know, first album is 100% Beast in Black and the second album is 100% Beast in Black. It's like I never thought that some album defines the band, because if you look at Judas Priest, for example, and their catalog, there's albums like Painkiller, Ram It Down Turbo, Defenders of the Faith, Stained Class, and they are all 100% Judas Priest and part of that band, who they are. And that's how I see Beast in Black, so I don't really feel any extra pressure with any album, like is it first or 10th album that we're gonna make. It's always the same pressure, because I love like the music equally much every time I'm producing it and writing the songs. So, but there was more pressure time-wise, like not artistic-wise, but time-wise, because the schedule was following. We had a Nightwish support tour starting in early November last year, and the deadline was for the album end of October, and it was just 2 or 3 or 4 days ready, the album, before the Nightwish tour started. So it was really like super tight, and we barely made it on time. Yeah, but luckily we could make it, and the reason why we had that deadline was since no one expected that kind of success with the debut album, but since it was like very like warmly welcomed by the audience, it meant more gigs, lots of tours for us, and lots of happenings around the band. So there was this hype going on, and we didn't want to lose the momentum. We thought, okay, since we are now like in people's field of interest and focus, we definitely have to come out with the second album rather sooner than later. So that's why there was this deadline issue.
Well, I've had the pleasure of hearing the new album already, like, well, not lying, probably around 20 times.
Wow.
And without revealing too much for the audience, but how do you guys manage to make such consistent material? I mean, if someone would ask me to choose a favorite song from the new album, I simply couldn't, because every song in the album has one of those goddamn moments. I mean, how do you do it?
I don't know. You better not to think of when you're making art. You just have to like. It might sound like corny or cliche that you just gotta trust your intuition and listen to your heart when it comes to like art. Any art. It can be like drawing, making a book, writing a book, making a movie, or writing songs. I think every artist should always just focus on what they love to do and stay true to it. Because if you're not 100% behind it, how can you like share with good conscience to the others? And I would feel uncomfortable if I would have to like share songs with, first of all, with the band members, and then with the public, the audience, the ones that I wrote, but I don't believe in them. It's like makes no sense. So, but I never know what's the reaction gonna be. But it's always delightful to hear that if that's the case, like you said, that it's difficult to choose a favorite because you enjoy every song in its own way, and of course, apart from songwriting, I think it's super important to have the real interpretation from the guys. Like, for example, Yannis, especially since he's the lead singer. Like, you can write any kind of melody. You can write the best melody in the world, but if the singer cannot deliver the goods, then it doesn't make justice for the song. So he's all the guys and Yannis, and they're very like professionally good at what they do, and that makes my like job as a producer and songwriter easier when I know these guys' talents. They are very good technique wise and music wise. Like, they understand how it's easy to communicate in the studio while working on the recordings.
Yeah, and I think it's something. I saw you guys last summer in South Park Festival in Tampere.
Oh yeah.
And the way you guys play live, it's like it's so. I mean, it's like it's so well together. The whole band. It's plus. When you put Yannis as a singer, who is just, I can't find words really to describe the dude. The way he sings, I mean, everything that you do live shows that you guys have fun together when you play.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think two reasons for that come to my mind right away. First thing, it's the band chemistry. It's good, and that's, you don't have to pretend. You really like enjoy the time together, and when you go on stage, you see it as a privilege. And the second, and of course, while we do that, people see we enjoy, and when we see the people enjoying, it's like a two ways. Energy goes both ways, and then the other reason is that no matter what gig it is, if it's a smaller club gig for a couple of hundred people, or a 10,000 arena, or a big festival like South Park, every gig is a step closer to our goal. That's why it's no point to go on stage and complain like, well, this gig is not that important, there's less people. That's bullshit, because we know that, hey, it's always going bigger steps or smaller steps, but every step is going to the right direction, and that's why we enjoy it. We realize this fact, and like I said, the band chemistry. So these two reasons, I think, are the main reasons why we are that way.
Well, it does show. How do you feel you have evolved as a composer since the Battle Beast days compared to this day?
Well, with time, you discover new music, and then apart from that, you make new combinations with the old music that you already have heard in the past. So it's all about just. I don't really see that I have really like developed that much. I just see that writing music is like it's a big playground. Music is a big playground for me, and it has unlimited these devices where you can go, and there's a roller coaster or there's a carousel or whatever, if we use those metaphors. And I just feel that okay, now I want to try something like this for some reason, or sometimes it can be some movie. I hear some soundtrack part and it triggers some kind of idea, just few notes or some melodic sequence. I hear it as it triggers and opens some doors within my mind, and it starts to some song is started to be like born. So but I don't really see that much development. Of course, after the first debut album of Battle Beast, there was like this development, but maybe for a few years. But after that, I think it's more or less like the same level, but just different combinations with the stuff that I already know. But not, every now and then, of course, there's great discoveries. Like I love Italo Disco, for example. There's so much cool keyboard things there. They're all, first of all, very simple things, and I love the simple things. The keyboard stuff is more like awesome riffs. In heavy metal, it's about like cool guitar riffs for one part, and Italo Disco is like a riff party for keyboard. That's how I see it.
That is actually something that I think it gives you a lot of artistic freedom when you don't restrict your creation process. Like you said, it's a playground.
And heavy metal is, in my opinion, to me it represents musical freedom. That's what heavy metal as a genre means to me. It's the most free because you can go as slow, as soft, and as mellow as possibly, and you can go as fast and aggressive, as bombastic as you want to be in heavy metal, and everything in between, and it's all accepted by the heavy metal audience. But try to do something that radical on a classical, like in a classical album or Britney Spears album, they are more limited. And in heavy metal, luckily the fans with time, they have more and more accepted these varieties and these different spices from other musical genres that are combined with heavy metal, and it makes it the most free genre in the world, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I think in the new album, this variety actually shows. It has all the tempos. You have fast ones, and then you have one heartbreakingly beautiful ballad in the album as well. So basically, you go throughout the whole spectrum.
Yeah, we try to make every album interesting, like musically. So it's not like 10 songs with the same key, with the same tempo, with the same type of singing. No way, it's gonna be too boring.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this one is going to be a bit difficult, but if you had to describe Beast in Black music to a deaf person, how would you go about doing it? Would you show picture? Would you write something? What kind of a picture would you show? Something that would define what kind of music Beast in Black is.
Well, I would definitely show like this type of album covers, for example, Beast in Black's album covers and such art, which is reminding that Ken Kelly and Frank Frazetta, Boris Vallejo, those guys, like art is it's very heavy metal. And also I would show some movies, like cyberpunk movies, like I don't know, The Terminator, for example. It's just the mood that is there. there's the love, because there's the love scene in that movie. It's very human and tender, but on the other hand, it's like full of like danger and survival, just trying to survive. And the sense of danger and the visuals are like, you know, there's this dark and there's neon light and stuff like that. Maybe that would help to understand what the music is like. But it's very, very interesting question. I think most original question I've heard so far during this promotion period. So
thank you.
Yeah.
That's good. So you're getting ready for your first headlining tour with the support of Shiraz Lane and Turmion Kätilöt. What are your expectations for this forthcoming tour?
Well, to have lots of fun, because before the tour, it's actually the hardest time. All the preparations, rehearsals, and the business side and logistics and all that. We work on it. Few of us, like me and our bass player and our management, we do most of those things, like this arranging things, and our technicians as well. But then with the band, when we go on tour, we feel it's more like not a holiday, but it's work that doesn't feel like work. We really enjoy that, and luckily the ticket sales have gone good. There's like both in Finland and the European tour, so we are very excited about it. I'm just, like I said, a bit worried and slightly stressed, let's put it this way, always before the tours. But when the tours start, the stress goes away, because you see the guys again, the crew, and it's like this family reunion, so to speak, familiar faces, and everyone gets along luckily very well in our whole team, not just the band, but the band and crew. So that's very important, and since we have that crew, we are more than happy to do these 31 shows, and feel privileged that we could do this big headline tour already with the second album, because that's not often. For example, with Battle Beast, we didn't do anything like that with the 3 first albums, and luckily with Beast in Black, the journey has been going faster, and we are very grateful for that.
Yeah, well, some people might think that everything has happened very fast to Beast in Black, but I don't think everyone realizes that it must have taken an immense amount of work as well.
Yeah, for example, my dream was, when I was a teenager, I decided that, hey, if I don't have a record deal and a successful band by the time I'm 18 or 19, I consider myself as a failure. And of course I didn't have. So if people start to count from that, and I'm now 31, so from that, from my personal career perspective, it has taken time. So it wasn't that fast, but if we count it from 2015 when the band was born, it was fast. It's always kind of relative from where you measure the time.
Yeah, true. Then I gotta speak briefly about your video, Sweet True Lies. First of all, was it shot in Finland?
Yeah, it was. Actually, it was shot in the Circus, the venue in Helsinki, where we are gonna play.
Ah, okay. Where did you get a hold of all the vintage car and clothing and props for the music video? Because it's like this 80s.
Well,
bit about the shooting, how it went and stuff.
Yeah, well, a huge thanks goes to Ville Lipiäinen, the director, and Katri Koppanen, the production manager. They both did a huge amount of work, and Katri is the one who scouts the places where to shoot and what kind of actors to have there, what kind of clothes, and Ville, I think he found the car and other things. It's those two persons. They are responsible for what you see there, and it for me it was I was writing email to Ville like about the story, what kind of story I want to have in the video. I tried to be as detailed as possible, and then we had some meetings, and from that point on, it's like my job is kind of done, and when the explanations are clear, and that's when Katri and Ville, like, they do their things, and we just wait for the shooting day and arrive to the right place at the right time, and just when they say that we gotta go on stage and they push record, we just do our thing. So for us, it's quite simple compared to what Katri and Ville are doing there. So,
if you would have a chance to have one superpower, what would it be?
It's. I think I'm gonna be too obvious. It's gonna be something that almost everyone says, but it's not gonna be flying, because I know that's also probably the most obvious. But maybe mind reading. That's interesting, like telepathy. To be able to communicate without words and read other people without words.
Yeah, and that might be also slightly a bit dangerous as well, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I do, but I would like to experiment it for a limited period of time, not forever. Yeah. I would go crazy otherwise.
True. If you would have a chance to play one gig with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be, and why that person in particular?
Actually, I would have loved to work with James Horner, my favorite composer, to be honest. Like, he died in 2015 in a plane crash, but I would love to see how he does his, compositions and works on the movie soundtracks which he did, which are Titanic, Braveheart, Avatar, A Beautiful Mind, Aliens, and those movies. But if we go to like metal world, I would go back in time and maybe ask Rob Halford, like, hey, let's do some song together, and like, it would be awesome if he would sing like when he was in his prime. So
to sum up our interview, is there anything you would like to say to your fans around the world?
Yeah, just thank you for everyone who checked out this interview, and stay tuned for Beast in Black news. Our new album is going to be out 8th of February, and go get it. And I hope you will like all the songs, and whenever we are near your hometown, just come to see our show. Thank you very much, Anton, and good luck. Thank you.